Hello, I'm Debra Maldonado
I'm Dr. Rob.
of Creative Mind, and we are going to do a quick video on shadow work, what it is and how it can help you in your life. We know that there's shadow work is becoming very popular, and I see it described in many different ways that I never thought Jung would ever describe it. And there's some misconceptions about it. And we were going to talk about shadow work, how how it's important, but also applying it in a coaching model, how different that is. So, Rob, do you want to just start off with what is the concept of shadow that Jung coined back in his day?
Yeah, Jung, he started with the idea that our personality is a type of mask. It's a role that we're playing in society. And he says there's nothing wrong with this role. We use it to distinguish ourselves from others, to create a sense of identity, a sense of self that we identify with. That's the persona, he says. That's what we call personality now, but it's essentially a made up socially constructed role. So there's nothing wrong
So,
with it. But in building that, in creating that role for ourselves, we have to pick and choose what fits in that particular role, the way we see ourselves and the way we want to present ourselves to others, and what doesn't. And he says, what doesn't fit, we have to repress, we have to push it away into the unconscious mind.
so when you say pick and choose, is it conscious or like when you're younger, do we pick and choose or is it kind of a collaboration of instinct and conscious choice or what do you think?
I think it's both. Obviously, early on, we take cues from our parents, from our church, from our peers as to what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. How should I be and how should I not be? So we kind of do it instinctually. But also we because we are starting to think as we enter school and hang out with peers more, we start to think, well, I like the way this person is. Maybe I can borrow a little bit of that, right? Or my older brother or my sister, maybe I can borrow some of their mannerisms and their way of being.
So
And
are
of
we
course, our
developing our
parents,
personality into our 20s in a way?
very much
Right,
so.
because in the beginning, we're shifting making our personality fit in with the family, and then as we become teenagers, the peer group becomes more important, and so the little princess who did cheerleading in 3rd grade and had the pigtails and the, cute little dresses goes to, junior high and goes, "Wait a minute, I don't wanna be this prissy girl, I wanna be," and they go goth or, they start wearing dark clothes and just shave the half of their head, and they almost as a rebellion in a way, so we don't know where we're gonna end up, and a lot of times, we think we're choosing it, but if we're doing something like that, we're actually choosing not to be something, which is still not a real choice. We're choosing not to be the little princess anymore, now we're gonna be this, you know, hardcore, leather bound girl. And so we're really not choosing. It's more like we're trying to compensate or move on or
Yeah, I
reject.
mean, one way to think about it is we're adapting.
Okay.
Because, yeah, if you think of any organism, it has to adapt to its environment. So for us human beings, the social environment is our natural habitat. So we have to adapt. We have to adapt. And one of the adaptations is that we create this persona, this role for ourselves, or several roles, right? But it's in general, it's a certain style, a certain way of being that defines us. So
And it
that's
could be different at home than at work, right? In different situations. But we know we're kind of stuck. We have these personas that we use.
yes, especially internalized. We think of ourselves as a cohesive self.
Yeah. Like I'm the same person. I'm
Yeah,
just being a little
exactly.
more professional at work and being a little goofier at home.
Right.
And so then what happens to the parts that don't fit? You said they go into the unconscious. Now, I think this is the biggest misperception of shadow work and doing shadow work is that I hear this over and over, and I don't know if it's just keeps spreading and it's misinformation, but people are aware of the parts they don't like about themselves, like, I don't like when I'm insecure, or I don't like when I'm feel not good enough, those aren't shadow because you hear them, you know them, you're present in them. But shadow is the parts of yourself that you have no idea are you. It would be a shock and almost like you would absolutely deny it
deny it.
if so right? So you that's a shadow. So if you're like, "Oh, yeah, I agree, I could be kinda, like, a little selfish sometimes, and that's my shadow." That's, like, maybe shadow light, maybe not even shadow light, it's more you're making conscious decisions of morality versus this deep with shadow work, I always say, if you don't know if you've done shadow work, then you haven't done shadow work because shadow work really makes you face these things that you would object to as part of yourself. It's like, absolutely not. I would never be that way. And that's in your shadow. And so what does that mean? Does that mean a person is, let's say, a meanness? They don't see themselves as mean at all. They're always kind. They're a good person. They, you know, maybe have a good faith and they're very, religious or whatever. And they, or spiritual and they're good, 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 good. And they don't ever want to see themselves as mean. So they repress it. So what happens to that aspect of themselves? They don't allow themselves to express any kind of meanness or anger. What does
It
that
could
look like
be, yeah.
in
It could be, or it could be that they don't see it. Even if they express it, it's a blind spot. So a
like, it's a
blind
little late everyone else would see, "She's kinda mean," and she's like, "Oh, no, I'm so nice." Like, those people that, almost like passive aggressive people, "Oh, that's really beautiful. Your hair would look better if you had it longer." And that person doesn't think they're being mean, but they're kinda, like, digging. Is that what that is, you would say?
all of the above, exactly. The mind is so subtle and complex that all those descriptions kind of fit what Jung would call shadow or shadow content. But in general, we can make some clear distinctions. The unconscious, by definition, you are not aware of it. So if you're aware of it, like you said, if well, I don't like this part about myself. I tend to be a little introverted in parties and I don't make conversation. That's not unconscious. You're totally aware of it. Therefore, by definition, it's not in the unconscious. Unconscious
Or
means,
I don't like how I'm shy, or I don't like how I, be negative about myself, like that inner critic is my
yeah,
shadow, that's not it.
that's
That's your
not
ego.
shadow. And
Yeah.
it's not unconscious, exactly. The shadow is in the unconscious, meaning you cannot see it by observing your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own behaviors. It's invisible to you, it's hidden. The ego does a very good job of hiding it and kind of distracting you from it, saying, "That's
So
not
how
you."
do we see the shadow if it's unconscious, Rob?
Well, the mind has a kind of a it's kind of a defense mechanism where it projects then the shadow onto others. So because we tend to see it in others, here's a way that we can start to understand our shadow and to perceive it. That
But
when
for
we're
most people, they
projecting,
don't know they're seeing a projection. They're just seeing that that other person is just mean, and I gotta go set boundaries or give them a psychological label that they find on Instagram, like, "Oh, they must be this pathology or something," and move away. You stay away from that person, avoid that person.
that's right. Again, William Shakespeare, one of the greatest psychologists, although he's a writer, of course, but he has a line somewhere where he says, "She does protest too much." In other words, she's insisting that that's not me.
Mm.
Right? So already there, we're kind of sensing there's a defense mechanism against being labeled a certain way. That's also a way to get at our shadow. In other words, it gives us a little string to start to pull on so that it leads us into the unconscious mind and we start to unravel what is our shadow about. So there's ways to do it, but it helps to have a coach, somebody
You can't do it
trained.
on your own. Yeah.
It you can do
Get some insight,
some
maybe.
insight, yeah, but it's very difficult to get at what Jung called the confrontation with the unconscious mind, which is really the shadow work.
Because it
And
is, you will resist it. You will
yeah,
say, "But no," like, the ego loves to slippery away because it wants you to feel good about yourself, and you're so good, and we don't wanna look at and be
exactly.
truly honest with ourselves. Like you said that Jung had mentioned, it takes great moral courage
It
because we
takes
have
great
to.
moral courage to confront our shadow because it's going to bring us face to face with the things that we ourselves consciously have rejected. And it's going to say, those things you reject are very much a part of you.
And that is like and you feel that I call it the yucky feeling, and your stomach, drops, and you're just like, "That can't be me." It's like someone telling you the worst thing about you, like a personality flaw, and you're like, "Oh my god," because we never wanna think that we have flaws, and we're always trying to look good for everyone and look good for ourselves and be a good person and justify our actions, and the benefit though, like, so what's the benefit of facing these parts of ourselves? Is it to make us feel bad about ourselves? Right, I mean, that's not really the goal. It's like, why would and so that's why people resist the real shadow work. They do the, like, journals and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I know my shadow." It's that inner critic. It's like to really get at it, it really does make you face something. It's very intense, but it is so profound. So what is the benefit of us looking at these things for our
It,
life?
in simple terms, it's wholeness. Because if you think about what is happening when we have this personality, this persona, this role that we're playing at the conscious level, and this split off, unlived aspect of ourselves that we call the shadow, we're split against ourselves. We're divided. It's like we're two people. One that we are acknowledging and bringing up to our conscious awareness and presenting to others as well. And the other that we keep hidden, obscure, deny completely it's not us. So we're
Like the
split.
stepchild in our life that we
Yeah.
hide from the public.
We're split against ourselves. So Jung says bringing these two aspects together moves us towards wholeness, towards a more complete sense of ourselves.
And wholeness, we're not saying we're broken, we're saying because people think wholeness means I'm whole again, I'm healed. What we're saying is that when we're divided among ourselves, we're not really choosing our life. And so I think another practical way of a reason to do shadow work is that if we don't do it, we're kind of constantly propping up this persona of being a good person, having all the answers, being the smartest person in the room, being successful, like, and sometimes parents, like being a good mom or being a good dad and being a good provider, and it's a lot of pressure. And then there's a part of us that's just like, "I just wanna run away with the circus and play guitar or be an artist and leave everything behind," like that. And so but we can't allow ourselves to do that. So we get stuck in life situations through our past conditioning to prop up this persona, and we're not free really to create our life. And that's really what happens
Yep.
when Jung says midlife, which is around 30, 35. We build it all up, our ego, and now it's like, "Oh, wait, this isn't I don't even know who I am," I built my life around all the social pressures and how people think I should be, and we never really get to choose who we are. So it's like accepting this other part of ourselves, and mostly shadow Jung said that's mostly in our shadow is our light, not our dark. It's anything that's too light or too dark for our conscious self. So one misperception about shadow is always it's this negative part or this insecure part or this broken part or this wounded part. But mostly what's in our shadow is our brilliance and our uniqueness and our creativity that we're not allowed to express because we're so busy trying to fit in with everyone.
Yeah. A couple of other things worth mentioning, that union of conscious and unconscious, Jung says, it creates like a third element in us. It's the movement towards the true self. It's not the complete journey, but it's the beginning of it, right? That we start to acknowledge our unconscious mind and we start to connect with it, like creating a two-way communication between our conscious and our unconscious mind. And that begins with shadow work as well. The other one is that think about what happens in human affairs. If we project our shadow elements onto others, like you say, even our greatness, we might think, well, other people are great, but I don't have that. Or other people are terrible, but that's not me. It both leads to alienation, to diminishing ourselves, as well as to war, fighting others, projecting meanness and badness onto whole groups.
Like,
So
politically, people see that with the project.
exactly, it creates a society that's not very harmonious because now we have all these external enemies that are at the gates, and it's our own mind.
And when we see shadow, many times it's an anger feeling or irritation. Sometimes it's like that you said, that divine and that admiration, but also there's always a little anger in there too, a little jealousy, right? I wish, why can't I be like that? I can never be like that. And so that anger is this, I always think of anger as this unexpressed passion. So the trigger, that irritation is like it's pulling us toward an unexpressed passion. And not to say that being mean and embracing your meanness is going to make you, give you something you don't already have, but it's makes you think, how do I want to act consciously in the world versus before, how do I be so no one thinks I'm mean? So it's not about not being mean or being mean. It's how do I express myself by choice, not by what I think other people think I should be. And it's questioning that. It's a moral question of, why is it bad to say no? Why is it bad to charge what I want for my fees? A lot of service providers, therapists, coaches, and practitioners are always undercharging, and they're afraid to charge because they don't want people to think they're greedy or to think they're mean or taking advantage or a swindler or someone who doesn't want to be kind in a relationship because they're afraid that they're going to look weak. I got to be strong. I got to be tough. Women and men. So all these things stop us from having the life we truly want, and we end up limiting our life to what we're conditioned to be. And so the shadow work is that invitation to start looking at what we're seeing out there is a reflection of inside. And I think that's the benefit more than anything, is to see where how the world is just a reflection, is just a mirror. Like we talk about non-duality all the time. That's what we're experiencing. And it gives your control back, because if an irritating person comes in your life, all we try to do is try to navigate around it or change our behavior to navigate around this difficult person, or avoid that difficult person. And it feels very powerless. It feels like this difficult person has all the energy and sucks the energy out of the room, and we can't control them. And if we understand what we're seeing in that person and ourselves, it's almost like that turbulence starts to subside. And that other person that's playing that role will either disappear or appear differently when we do the inner work. So it's really, really a powerful way to get back in control of our power.
Absolutely.
So shadow work isn't, just to summarize, it's not about healing the past. It's about reclaiming what we lost along the way and building up our ego, which is a very normal, typical, we all have survival strategies. Whether you've had very traumatic childhoods or just regular childhoods, we all have the same thing. We all have complexes. We all have psychological conditioning, all of us. And to look at it from a normal way of development, and this is typical, and how do we evolve to the next level of our humanity? And that's where Jung said, the psychology we need in the second part of life is much different than the psychology we need in the early part of life, is because now we're not building up the ego anymore. We're transcending it.
Well said.
Okay. And that is shadow work. To find out more, come to creativemindlife.com, and we have trainings and coaching, and also coaching available if you're interested in exploring shadow work yourself. Take care.
See you soon.